Hey, good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone. Glad to have you with us. A whole bunch, actually, that I want to get to here this morning. LSU baseball loses the series at Texas A&M. Football had a spring scrimmage. A Baton Rouge kid is leading the Masters going into Sunday. And the Pels got a win at the defending champ Golden State. So I want to see if I can knock out all those topics here in the next 10 minutes or so. So let's get cooking here. Happy Sunday to you all, by the way. Like, share, subscribe. It all helps us, so thanks for that. And I did have a comment asking, could you work on the glare? I know that my laptop has the glare on my glasses. I apologize for it. I'll just keep trying to close it as I can so as not to be distracting. But LSU, let's start with baseball. LSU loses the series finale to Texas A&M, and it's really disappointing because you won Friday with Zach or Thursday with Zach Hess, and you felt like, man, just split the next two and you go and probably win a road series you weren't anticipating getting. But they didn't, and the bats went cold, and they got handcuffed by a lefty on Friday, and then Caleb Gilbert was off, and then the bats went cold yesterday. The thing maybe yesterday in Game 3 that was most concerning was just the complete lack, felt like what lacked an offensive approach. I mean, I understand what they were trying to do. Mitchell Kilkenny is a strike thrower, so they were going up there saying, hey, look, if we go up there with the bat on our shoulder, the best pitch you may see may be strike one, so let's go be aggressive. But on a cold day where Kilkenny was really sharp and living low in the zone, he threw a lot of strike ones low in the zone. LSU pounded him into the ground. I think they had 13 ground ball outs. So it's just not a great recipe for success. That's why he was able to throw a complete game on, I think he just passed 100 pitches in the game. What obviously sucked the most was the situation in the eighth where LSU got its best rally going, and you got first and third with Austin Bain up, and then Zach Watson is caught stealing on that awful third to first pickoff move. Maybe he was going on first motion. It wasn't even a good movement, and in that situation, it just can't happen. And that's your best player having that happen. So, I mean, I'd love to. I'm sure Zach would love to have that happen over again. In that situation, it's, Bain puts it in the gap. Your Watson's going, then he scores from first, and you got a tie ball game. Bain swings and misses. Watson steals the base. You've got second and third, and your base hit scores two. So I get it. I mean, I get the action they were putting on. You had such a struggle offensively, so you're trying to do something to jumpstart your offense when you were desperate to do it. It just didn't work. And then a couple innings earlier, Jake Slaughter, it was Fiducia was on first, and you had Chris Reed up, and they try to hit and run, and Reed, who's one of your best contact hitters, swings right through the pitch, and Fiducia's meet at second base. I mean, I get it. You're trying to get some action going, trying to force the issue offensively to manufacture something on a day when you weren't hitting the ball or being really proficient offensively, and it just didn't work out. So it stinks. LSU's at 6-6 in conference play, but they're still a game ahead of A&M. I'll be curious to see how the rest of the games Sunday play out. So Monday on AFR, no doubt we'll talk about the standings and everything. But having lost 2 road series now, the overarching theme is, one, you're not very good on the road, and you're going to have to figure out a way to win road series. You have a couple of winnable road series ahead. But you also have sweepable home series, which you're going to need to sweep at least one of these, and probably 2. And my guess is this weekend is a great chance with Tennessee coming in. Tennessee started great against an awful schedule. They've been bad since. This is a great chance for LSU at home against a bad Tennessee team, with hopefully Josh Smith coming back, to get a sweep and to put yourself in a really good position moving into the final 4 weeks of conference play. So let's see how that goes after this weekend. But this because you lost this weekend series, the Tennessee series, and the possibility of a sweep just becomes that much bigger. So a lot of baseball still to play with 18 games remaining in conference play. But you're going to have to get a sweep in this weekend, like somewhere along the way. And this weekend is a really good opportunity to do that. So let's see if they can do it at home against Tennessee. So Tiger baseball loses the series at Texas A&M. LSU football held a scrimmage in Tiger Stadium. A couple of things. We'll talk about this a lot on AFR on Monday. But Ed Ogeron said the defense dominated the day. The thing that I love the most is that they were supposed to be in Tiger Stadium. And Coach O said that it was a little rainy, and because it was a slick track, they decided to stay inside where they had better traction to try to avoid injury. Amen. Alleluia. Thank you for that. Say it all the time. The number one objective of spring ball should be no injuries. And if you listen to AFR all throughout the spring and really every year during spring practice, I chronicle injuries. Marvin Wilson, the great defensive lineman from Florida State, former five-star, tore his MCL last week. Auburn has lost 2 wide receivers to torn ACLs this spring. Just keep your guys healthy. As for on the field, Miles Brennan kind of led the way. It was odd to see that Coach O said of Lowell Narcisse that it was his day, that he was sharp. He was only 3 of 9 passing for like 60 yards. And I understand it's all situational, but I'll be very interested to see what the offense looks like in the spring game. Not that they're going to show you everything, but I think you are going to see more RPOs. You are going to see more of a West Coast style out of necessity. So let's see if they can execute it. And this is coming on the heels of, if you saw it on Friday, ESPN put out their FPI projections for the SEC, and they projected LSU at 6-6 this year. My take on that is I think LSU got way too much talent to be 6-6. The schedule's brutal, make no mistake, but the bottoming out at 6-6 seems unlikely. But I could see, you target 8-4 and maybe you settle in at 7-5 with games that you're probably not going to be favored in, like Miami, at Auburn, at Florida, Georgia, Bama. I mean, there's 5 right there that I could say, yeah. I mean, I guess they could drop those. It'd be really disappointing if they did. They got a long way to go. Still a long way to go before the season starts as well. But food for thought as LSU finishes up the second scrimmage of spring. Pels got a win last night. Now, full disclosure, I was at a wedding. So I watched the baseball game, went to a wedding last night, so I did not see a minute of the Pelicans game. But they went on the road and beat Golden State, second of a back-to-back. I'm not surprised. And you can go back and check. It's one of the great things about modern technology, how everything is recorded. You can go back and record everything listen to everything I've recorded about this team. And going into their final six games, I figured if they could beat OKC at home last Sunday, they could run the table. Now, they lost to OKC, but in their final 5, they were going to be favored in 3, and the 2 where they weren't favored were at Golden State and home against San Antonio. Well, at Golden State, without Steph Curry, a team that's locked into the 2 seed already, not playing for much, and you're desperately playing for your lives, well, that's what happened last night. The Pels went and played inspired basketball, and they wound up winning, and now they're in the 5th seed with 2 games to go. They play the Clippers, and it's a winnable game against the Clippers, so we'll see. I would think the Pels, even on the road, would be favored in that game. And then you come home and you play San Antonio without Kawhi Leonard and quite possibly a chance to lock into the 4 or 5 seed. So just keep winning. I mean, the Western Conference right now, when you look at the standings in the West, you're looking at, I want to check all the loss totals. When you look at the standings in the Western Conference, the other day was 4 teams at 34 losses. So you've got the Jazz, you've got Portland in the 3 seed, they're at 32 losses. Utah is in the 4 seed with 33 losses. Then you've got 3 teams all at 34 losses, the Pels, Spurs, and Thunder. And then you've got the T-Wolves at 35 losses in the 8 seed. And then Denver, also with 35 losses, is on the outside looking in the 9 seed. So my point is, man, you're a loss away from the 9 seed. You're a loss away from being out of the playoffs. But the flip side is you and your next 2 get a little help. You could be the 4 seed. So it's still a lot to play for New Orleans, and it's for the Pels, and it's an exciting time right now, and I think they can win their next 2 games. It would be awesome if on the last playing date at home against the Spurs, they're playing for maybe a 4 seed, and the place is packed, and AD goes off on a national stage. It would be great to see that transpire. Hey, before I jump, Patrick Reed, Baton Rouge kid, is going to be playing in the final pairing at the Masters today with Rory McIlroy. Reed has a 3-stroke lead at Augusta. He, of course, played collegiately at Augusta State, so he knows the area and the course very well. The odd thing about Patrick Reed, whenever I think about this, when I first started in sports radio, not when I first started radio, when I first started in sports radio, I was at the Score 1210, and part of my job was I'd go up on Saturday mornings, and I'd just board up the Real Deal coaches shows, Barrett Murphy and Fred Allen, great guys. And they always just shone a spotlight on high school sports. And at the time, Patrick Reed and Tessa Teachman were, on the boys and girls side of prep golf in Baton Rouge, and they were just dominating. And I can remember having Reed and Tessa come in studio, and nobody else would have done that, because look, let's be real. I mean, like, prep golf isn't going to get a whole bunch of play, in the mainstream. But these two kids were dominating, and so the high school show had said, "Hey, bring them in, let's talk to them." And it's so odd for me now to think, 10, 11 years ago, sitting there in a studio off of Corporate Boulevard, and the guy who may very well be a Masters champion today was sitting there as like a 17-year-old, 16, 17-year-old. Well, good luck to him, man. I know Patrick Reed has a lot of fans. He's got a lot of detractors because of his style, but he's a local guy, and I'll always pull for the local athletes. So good on Patrick Reed. Here's hoping he pulls it out and goes and gets that green jacket today. So, hey, thanks for watching Morning Scone. As always, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe to the channel, please. And one more plea, if you wouldn't mind. Our guys that signed, Get Signed, you see it right there. I mentioned this on AFR this week, but one of the co-founders, one of them is a friend of mine who's an LSU alum. The other is Brian Moorman, who's a former punter for the Bills, 13 years with the Bills. And they partnered with 97 Rock, a radio station in Buffalo, with the blessing of Jim Kelly's family, to do a cool thing for Jim. And they created Jim Kelly's Wish Wall. So they're asking fans to go, and it Signed is an autograph app. You download the app, you can take pictures, you can get the autograph on your phone. They're asking fans to do that, take pictures of themselves, and write on the picture a get well message for Jim Kelly. So it's real easy. If you do it, it would be awesome. Just download the app, Get Signed, SYND. Open it, log in, swipe, take a picture, sign it, save it, and then it goes right to Jim Kelly's Wish Wall. You'll see the icon right there on the splash screen. So if y'all could do that, that would be awesome. I'd really, really appreciate it, and help spread the word to do it as well. In the meantime, have a great Sunday, and we'll check in with you on Monday morning.